Welcome back to another episode of What Are You Made Of with your boy, the unstoppable, the stubborn Mike C-Roc. I'm in the house today with a friend of mine. I met on Clubhouse and I talked to her husband as well. He's an awesome dude into some cool things with veterans and multifamily real estate investing and just awesome couple. And I wanted to bring Laura on here to introduce you to all and find out what she's made of as well. So let me introduce you. Laura is actually a business coach for women. She has spent nearly a decade of her career working in the financial and services industry with women and military families. Laura's focus has been to help bridge the financial confidence gap through educational, transparent, and empowering strategies. Certified in business and entrepreneurship coaching, Laura helps women entrepreneurs build and scale their heart-centered businesses with confidence. Laura, welcome to the What Are You Made Of show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Hey, listen, so we start this show. It's a little different than most shows. We start this show with one question. And I always, sometimes I get off track because I'll start like going into the show and I'm like, oh shoot, I got to go. So let's start the show the right way. And that is, Laura, what are you made of?
Tenacity and grit.
Okay. Why do you say that?
Because, being in the military lifestyle is always being prepared for bullcrap that you didn't sign up for to be thrown at you, and overcoming all sorts of different situations from all different corners of life. And then adding in entrepreneurship, adding in the financial world and the complete crap that is. It's having grit to, through lessons learned, of just keep persevering. And that's kind of been my life story, coming from an immigrant household to graduating from college, moving thousands of miles away from anyone I knew other than my now husband, then fiance, and moving every 2 to 3 years, reinventing my entire circle, especially before, COVID, and we didn't do as much virtual interaction with people, to having a business, having a career, and moving and just keeping on no matter what gets thrown in my face.
So I got to talk about this for a second. And this is just what's on my mind. So I might get in trouble with some ladies out there, but that's okay. That's not going to be the first, won't be the last. But listen, some ladies complain about like what's going on in their lives and they don't have to move around. And their spouse isn't in the military and they don't have to pick up things and they don't have to do all this stuff. And they complain about different things that are going on in their lives. So one thing about this is people need to realize, and this goes for men too, but this is just a particular situation, has to do with sometimes I think that sometimes women like have a complaint about things, about their husbands doing something business or whatever the case is. This is just from my point of view, right? But they got to understand that, like, well, imagine if your husband was in the military. And my ops manager for my podcast agency, and she's my executive assistant, Kim, her husband now has to go overseas for a year.
Yeah.
Like what do they call that? Something where they can't bring the family. Unaccompanied. Yeah. Like that's not fun, man. And I'm there to support her. Our team is going to be rallying around their family to support them. But you could always have things worse. But let me also say this, Laura, because I'm thinking as I go through here, you could have it worse, right? But it's not really worse, because think about something. When you have to pick up, I know it's uncomfortable and uneasy, but when you have to pick up and then you got to go meet other people, imagine the skill and strength that you're getting in building the network and community.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you got to look at it. It's like, what narrative do you put to it? But go ahead.
No, it's so easy to put the victim mentality on, right? I could easily be the victim of my story. Oh my goodness, woe is me. I thought I was going to have this government job as a GS, but then my fiance got orders to Florida and I chose that over my career and I moved somewhere else and I had to restart. I didn't have this cush government job anymore. I literally moved, like I was on a track to like go up to like GS 15 in a couple of years with this whole program I was in. And instead I was a hostess at a 4-star resort in Palm Beach County. Like I could have easily been like, but that challenge brought in a business opportunity. I met a guy that does satellite TV stuff for Hispanics in South Florida. That was my first business attempt and failure lesson, all in one like fell swoop as a 22-year-old, to a a job that paid me extremely well, allowed me to have the most freaking fun time living in South Florida as a young 20-something-year-old for 2.5 years, but was the most toxic workplace. But I took the lessons there and continued to use that. Like, you know what? We're moving in a couple of years. This isn't forever. Moved to Pensacola. Was an amazing opportunity for my husband's career because he was on the Blue Angels when we moved to Pensacola. But if you've ever been to Pensacola, the only thing it has going for itself is really pretty beaches and not a lot of corporate life, not a lot of things that someone with an MBA in finance can do. But I didn't let that be a woe is me story. I let that be an opportunity to help military families in that area and build a community and network there that has followed me to then living back in my hometown in Virginia Beach and becoming a parent and expanding my network with other military moms, my husband going on 2 back-to-back combat deployments during COVID when I had a 4-month-old and 2-year-old during COVID. That didn't stop me. I ran a freaking marathon. I ran a marathon in 2020. And the majority.
Wait a minute. Let's celebrate badass women though, man, for a second. Cause like we need to take a second, I know women are coming together and supporting each other and this and that, but like men, let's start celebrating women that are badass women, man, that are stepping up. And, part of being a badass woman is supporting your husband. If you have a husband, or supporting your spouse, if you have a wife, whatever situation you're in, I don't know.
There's so many situations.
Right. Supporting your significant other, that help, like that pours into the ingredients of, or is included in the ingredients of being a badass woman.
Yeah.
I
And
love that.
There's a whole tide right now of, girls supporting girls, women supporting women, which is super freaking awesome. But I don't think that it should only be women supporting women. I think we all should be supporting each other through our marriages, through our friendships, regardless of gender or whatever. We should all just be supporting each other in our greater purpose because we all are different, right? You and I, we both have podcasts, both, there's so many coaches in the world. There's so many other people that work in finance and this, that, the other. We're not in competition. Right. We're not in I don't care who you are, what you're doing, even if we're in the same space, you're not my competition. But how can we build each other up? And that's a huge mentality shift that I think COVID helped with for a lot of people, but not everyone has picked up on it and they get stuck in that victim, like, oh, there's so many other people that do this. There's so many other people, like, so what?
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah. Well, look, so in what you're working on right now, with your coaching career and building a coaching business, right?
Yep.
You are very up to speed on financial literacy, finances. But here's the thing. There's a lot of people that are good coaches that know a lot, but their problem, where they struggle is marketing their business and getting the message out and promoting what they're doing and building a community. So what have you done and what have you learned, I guess, on that part of it? Because again, it's not how much you know or how great a service or how great a product you have. It's who knows you, because you could actually have a mediocre service, mediocre knowledge. And if everybody knew who you were and they knew that you offered that, they'd be coming to you still. Right.
Yeah. And we all know those
numbers
people.
Game. Right. So
we all know those people too.
Yeah. Yeah. So how are you overcoming that and working through that? And what have you learned with that?
Surrounding myself with greatness. That's the biggest thing, that who matters. So yes, I have my financial services practice still. I still do that. My coaching practice is a birth child of my financial services industry practice. But how do I let people know? I come on places, I meet C-Roc on Clubhouse and we have a conversation and he's like, we should chat. We should do more stuff together. I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, we should. I network and vet people out and find how I can connect and collaborate, support them. And in return, it comes back full circle. They support me and we work together. I have a team behind me. I have, my own, business manager and team of virtual assistants that help with things so that when life gets crazy, the wheel doesn't stop turning. And just staying, I hate saying this because it's such like a cringy thing. It's like stay consistent, but that is what's key.
It's not
showing up yeah. Even on the hard days, the crappy days. I mean, the month of September has been so crappy for me, but I'm still here. We had a house fire. We went on vacation And while we were on vacation, the majority of San Diego County was on fire, and it was the first tropical storm in 25 years in San Diego. I was like, I thought this was supposed to have the best weather in the world, but
Is that where
not
you
while
guys
I'm
are
here.
now, San Diego?
No, we were on vacation for a
In
wedding.
San Diego. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I was gonna say,
Then
yeah, because you
yeah,
guys
I'm
are in
down the
Virginia,
street from
right?
you.
Yeah,
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 I'm in
yeah.
Maryland.
Yeah, yeah. Or Maryland.
Then
Yeah, yeah.
the day we came back from vacation for this wedding, we had a family member die. Like, so many things just back to back to back. But my business isn't stopping because I've surrounded myself with greatness to make sure that my presence is still there, whether it's on social media, whether it's showing up for my clients and my appointments, and just getting the word out there through my team and through my network of badass people.
Yeah, yeah. Now, how do you define greatness? Like, you're surrounding yourself with greatness. Like, how do you define that?
So it's people that have a similar tenacity, right? So not everyone that is, surrounded with greatness. It's not all like celebrities and influencers and all these awesome people that, are shiny and that we all know, but more about people that are in it for the long haul too. They're not just here for the fancy accolades of being on a podcast, being on this, being on social media, but have a true purpose, have a higher purpose to serve others, and will help continue to push me, that even when I'm having a crappy ass day sitting on the couch, like, what on earth am I doing? Because everything seems like in the moment is crumbling, that I'll get a text and they're like, hey, I'm so excited for this thing that you're launching. And I'm like, yes, heck yeah, I'm doing that. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
That will keep pushing me towards
Yeah.
greatness. So
I've been there too. Yeah.
it's about having just other people that have that mirroring tenacity, so that no matter if you're up or they're down, vice versa, we are all attaining and attracting our overall greater greatness together.
Yeah, there's something, what do they call that? There's something that came to mind with this, but there's 100%, like, there's some days I think that we get hung up on some things, right? We get a snag, we're moving along, and something happens and your attention gets on it. I call it attention units. We only have so many attention units,
Yeah.
whatever, however you measure attention, whether it's energy or time. There's only so much of it. And you go through and you get hung up on something and you're like stuck on this thing where you don't really need to be stuck on it. And then you forget about all the good things that are going on and all this and that. And then you're saying, like, like, teammates will say something to you or remind you, like, hey, we got this project going on, or this and that, or you just celebrated that. We got this customer, we got this client, and you're still hung up over here. And it's like, wait a minute, why am I letting this thing, this present time problem, this thing, like, pull me away, like, dilute my success, dilute the things that I should be celebrating? And I think that, when we have those things, I think the key is really to be aware of it as fast as possible, accept it, that's things got you right at that moment, and then do something about it, like turn the problem into a project and solve it as fast as possible. Right. Yeah. So I absolutely love that. Yeah. And, you get to really see what your team is all about and what you're made of when you go through a situation like you just went through with, like, several things in a row. Those things could be spread out, by the way. Those things could be spread
Yeah.
out.
It just happened to me, like, literally, like, week after week after week.
Yeah. So it just happened all in one month, which if it was spread out over the year, they would still each individually suck, but it was like, give you time. But sometimes you have to think sometimes, like, man, maybe just let's get these bad things out of the way. Not that, God, my condolences to whoever you lost. I mean, that's not what I'm talking about, obviously. Like,
No.
get
Like,
that person out of here. No,
Yeah.
but it came out
No,
wrong,
I mean,
but,
honestly, I've had that self-reflection moment where I'm like, you know what? Thank God. This is just right now. I can disaster plan, take care of all of this bull crap. I mean, obviously we have homeowners insurance that's taken care of, just waiting for contractors in 2022 to do work is just a whole other thing. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not earth shattering. It's not going to stop me from achieving my goals. If anything, overcoming these back-to-back bull crap things is going to make me stronger and put me further on my timeline and on my mission to serve others that are also going through crappy things like this, so that they remember their own true purpose, their higher purpose, and that things happen for a reason to challenge you.
yes. And what's the story behind the fire? Is it something you should tell here, or not really? Not really that interesting.
No, it was just the trash can caught on fire.
Oh,
on the
okay.
front
Okay.
porch. And, you know, that's all.
How the hell did your trash can catch on fire?
You know, when you have a husband in the military and you have friends in the military, they smoke cigarettes and it is what it is. And I dumped the ashtray not knowing that something wasn't completely put out, and it caught on fire. So it's a
Gosh. And
mixed bag of whose fault it is.
How fast did you realize it?
We had no idea. We were putting the kids to bed and we heard banging on the door, and we're like, what the heck was that? We saw like out the side window, somebody in a black hoodie, like running down the street. So my husband immediately went to the gun safe. And then I see little old Miss Patel, our next door neighbor, like flagging me down. And I'm like staring at her confused. And then hear the banging again and again. And I like just wander downstairs. My husband, Mike's yelling at me like, what are you doing? There's somebody might be breaking in. I'm like, first of all, it's daylight out and Miss Patel's freaking out about something on the street. And yeah, the front of the outside of the house was just like smoke. And our neighbors actually put it out before the fire department even got there. But the fire department did have to cut into the house wall.
Oh, geez.
But it's actually like not that big of a damage. We just have to replace some windows, and it was all like below the windows, just some siding that has to get really redone.
If they didn't catch it right away, it could have been worse, huh? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
There's more of an inconvenience, like a stupid inconvenience, than like devastation. Like it could have been worse. Again, how you just said, like it could have been worse.
Yeah. Right. Right. Wow, man. Well, let's go back to real quick your story, because I want to go like as we wind down here before we get into what you're working on and all that right now, specifically projects you have. But like growing up, like where did you grow up, and like what was life like as a kid? What's your story?
So I'm from Virginia Beach, Virginia. I'm a VB kid. But my mom's a naturalized citizen from Central America. And my dad grew up in the slums of Pittsburgh, which is doesn't sound like a great way to explain, like, oh, that's where my dad's from. But literally he's from the bottoms in McKees Rock, Pittsburgh. Like that's what the place is called, the bottoms. And so we didn't come from wealth, like literally second generation Americans from like Ukraine and Hungary, 3 families living in one house type of thing. My dad joined the Navy, met my mom while she was at school in Baltimore. And I was born and raised in Virginia Beach, middle America, nothing much to say for, just normal people, but not with like a sound financial background. Right. And, I have student loan debt, right? Because I came of age because I'm a millennial during 2008. And seeing the devastation as a young adult that had to so many people was like, holy crap, how do I make sure that doesn't happen to me?
Yeah.
And then again, going through college and graduating and 2011 crash happening, like all of these financial things kept happening. And that's what pushed me to get my MBA in financial valuation, investment management, and a long bunch of words there, and get into financial services. Well, what I didn't realize was that financial services is a male prevalent industry. And amongst that, it's usually like 50-year-old plus old white dudes. No offense, Mike. But
I'm not white, I'm tan.
Yeah. But as a 20-something-year-old woman in this, I'm the only woman that's in an advisor role. That's not a secretary. That's in a producer role. That's 30 years younger than the next person. It was hell. Like I was working 70 hours a week, doing weekend meetings and trying to prove myself to people who didn't give a shit about me.
Mm-hmm.
And I got burnt out. I mean, like completely burnt out. Every reason why I loved the financial services industry almost didn't matter anymore, because I loved educating and helping my fellow military families and women professionals to set themselves up for success and teaching them things that they never knew before. And I took time away from the industry, had a couple kids, then COVID happened and deployment happened. And I really realized my true calling, while pushing my kids in a double stroller, running and training for a marathon. Yes, my kids literally did the majority of all of that training that year with me. So it was strength training and running simultaneously and being like a snack dealer.
What was it like hitting a marathon though at that point though, after you've been pushing the kids? Like it should have felt lighter and easier.
except for the fact that I had sprained my foot with bad shoes on my 20 miler like 3 weeks beforehand. So I had to not run and finish my taper before the marathon. So at mile 22, my hip flexor seized and I had to walk the rest of it.
Jeez.
So that again sucked, right? I had this whole plan for my timing and all this stuff, but shit happened. Yeah. Challenges happen, and it could have been worse. But I still pushed through. Relentless forward motion. And that's kind of been, through every move, through every slight career change and adjustment, that in the moment I was like, what on earth am I even doing? That relentless forward motion that I learned through running has been really the narrative for my whole life.
Yeah.
And I finally found myself in an amazing firm, helping exactly who I wanted to help. And it was less about money and success and winning shiny awards, which I did win, but it was less about that, but actually serving and because if I'm helping who I want to help and attracting who I want to help as my ideal client, everything else is going to follow. And what I realized that not only did I suffer from, but so many other people, whether you're a woman or a man, is that we have these 3 things that hold us back in life. And it was holding me captive for so long. And that's a sense of lack, where you think that there's just not enough time, not enough money, not enough whatever in the world. So why bother? And a guilt around success, a guilt around money, this feeling bad for having while others don't, without realizing that by having, you can do and serve so much more. And the last kind of thing that I was able to finally release myself from is the fear of success, and the fear of what others may think of me by what I do, how I live my life, and the success that I have attained. By releasing myself from those chains through evidence and proving to myself every single day that I am worth it, that I am capable of it, that I am deserving of it, that head trash is just trash. I've been able to achieve so much more than I ever thought I could. And I am not the only one who deserves that. Everyone's deserving of it. So that's what led me to business coaching and helping other women and entrepreneurs achieve their own personal definition of success, because we all have different definitions of success. We all don't want to be Grant Cardone, although that's super bougie, super awesome, financial success, but not everybody wants that. And that's an important thing to understand, that everyone has their own personal definition of what success is, what wealth is, what all of those things are, and helping to guide them into accepting that and that they can do it is what I'm so passionate about and why I started coaching.
Yeah. And they need to know, get a clear vision of what they want. Some people don't know what they want. Right. And once they have that, then they start seeing things come their way where oh, that opportunity. But until they get that clarity, and I'm sure that's where you start with them, right? Is what do you even want? If I don't know what you want, I can't help you and you can't help yourself. Right. So no, I absolutely love that. That was huge right there. What you just said, the fear of success, the fear of being greedy. And what was the first one? I forgot already. Hold on.
The lack, that there's not enough. Yeah.
There's not enough, a lack mindset. Really that happens a lot to people. I mean, I've experienced it myself personally. Is I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example. Well, I guess when I was a loan officer, there's so many loan officers out there and there's only so many people buying right now. And how am I going to get my share? And this, you start thinking this, but no.
Yeah, that money pie in the sky. How are you going to get it? And that sense of lack, you start competing with other people. And if your competition brings up these feelings of uneasiness and anxiety and starts making you withdraw, that's from a sense of lack.
Who wants to live like that?
I would hope no one.
Yeah, that's a miserable way to live. And I've experienced that personally. Now I've definitely been there. So Laura, what do you have right now? What projects are you working on right now that you're excited about? And what's the vision for the future?
Yeah. So right now, I mean, the grand vision, let's start with that, because I like to talk big, then bring it back down to reality of what's going on right now, is that I'm on a mission to empower women to realize they're not alone. Right. And it's not just like only women supporting women, but just like I said earlier, like we are not alone in this journey of family life, business life, right? There's so many other people that are also going through the same crap. And there is so many different ways to overcome it. So that's my grand mission, is to be able to serve people to realize that they are capable. And what that kind of translates to, I have my podcast, and that's what we talk about a lot there. And in the coaching business, I am launching a quarterly accelerator program where we do small group and one-to-one coaching sessions. So it's hybrid, all about that. So it's like 90-day intensive, working in groups for like that group think of working through problems and having that
masterminding, and
but also having that one-to-one, like, let's actually make this fit just for you and your business, not everybody else's, and getting you all set up so that you can take the reins. I don't ever want someone to work with me forever in the coaching business. Financial practice, that's different. But in the coaching business, you should graduate.
Yeah.
So having a quarterly program instead of a 6-month program or one exhaustingly long program, doing these 90-day programs is going to be so beneficial for these entrepreneurs to get it straight on what exactly they need to be focusing on right now to get it moving from a marketing standpoint and from the mindset standpoint.
Well, it also gives them a deadline to get things like get somewhere, like
accountability
and a deadline, and they got to speed it up. Like, let's move, let's get this thing done. Let's create some urgency here. Yeah, yes. No, I absolutely love it. How can the audience get a hold of you, Laura? Like, what's the best way to engage or follow you or whatever?
There's 2 main things. It's Instagram, Money Mindset by Laura. It's a mouthful, but it's pretty straightforward, or LinkedIn. Those are the 2 places that I show up the most consistently, with sharing what's going on, who I am, what's up. And from there, you'll be able to get infiltrated into like newsletters and everything else that's going on.
Awesome. All right, guys, listen, Laura is awesome. She's on a mission. Her and her husband are a power couple as well. And I just love working with them, and I love their story. And I want you guys to as well. So if you liked what you hear today, go follow Laura, go seek her out. Let her know you heard her here on What Are You Made Of? And also, guys, I want to thank you for keep coming back. Like, I'm going to keep bringing great guests to you. I'm going to keep pouring this into you. And we're going to matter of fact, I'm not sure the time switch on this. We might've already done it by the time you hear this podcast, but we're going to be switching this over to Fireside, and it's going to be better quality. I'm also doing clubhouse rooms more often now in the C-Roc Experience Club. I want you guys to all be there. So go get Clubhouse if you don't have it. Come follow the C-Roc Experience Club. Follow me, of course. Go follow Laura on Clubhouse, and keep coming back. I appreciate you so much for all your support and the following that you give me and all my guests. So please, like I said, let Laura know that you like the show and what you like best about it. And Laura, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right, guys, till next time, be unstoppable.